Okay. Always remember, when you get to Nibbana, all your questions are answered. So no one's got to Nibbana yet. Never mind. We can start early today, 8 o'clock. Start for today's Q&A. And here we go, the first one today. Ajahn Brahm, why don't you set up a meditation center or a nunnery in Malaysia? Give it a thought, please. Oh. You have no compassion on this poor monk. Okay, you set it up, I'll teach. Give it a thought, please. Okay, only says give it a thought, not give it many thoughts. So I've given it a thought. Nothing good about it. And can a nun disrobe? Yeah, a nun can disrobe, just like novices disrobe, but there's no ceremony for a nun disrobing. In other words, when they really say to themselves, I'm no longer a nun, then they're no longer a nun. So there's just a clear resolution inside their mind, and that's enough. Same with a novice, a clear resolution in their mind. From this time on, I'm no longer a novice, then it's disrobing. It's actually very easy. It's actually to disrobe as a monk, as a nun. It's very hard to ordain, but it's very easy to leave. And usually the fact is that most people, monks, nuns, they value the lifestyle and the opportunity, the privilege to walk in the footsteps of the Buddha so much that it's very sort of hard to disrobe, sort of emotionally. But physically, it's very easy. Okay? Next question. Does rebirth take place immediately when one dies? If yes, why do we have to share merits with the departed ones? And does it mean that we don't have to pray to the dead? Please explain. Okay, it's an old controversy, which is really no controversy at all. In that intermediate realm they call the antarabhava realm, where you can see your loved ones as ghosts, or hear them, or feel them. Sometimes you hear their speech. But, actually, I told this story in, not just human beings, even animals have an intermediate realm. This story was told to me recently in Perth. There was a lady, I told this in Singapore just before I left. Lady disciple, she lived alone. She didn't have a husband. I think her children were all grown up. And her best friend was her dog. She had this little dog who she looked upon as being like her child. And they were so close together. You may understand that the human being's emotional connection with their animals is sometimes so strong. And this was one of those very strong attachments. They were very close together, this middle-aged woman and her dog. She used to take the dog walking every morning in a patch of forest not far from her home. And one day she was walking in the forest and she lost one of her very precious finger rings. And together with the dog, they were looking here, looking there for it in the forest. Because it's a forest, when you lose something in the forest, it's so hard to find. So they spent a long time looking for it, but she could not find it. So she gave it up for lost. It was very sad, but she gave it up for lost. But of course she forgot about it a few days later when her dog died. And she was so upset the dog died. So she did a little funeral service for the dog. But she swears that for the next few days she heard that dog barking in her house. The ghost dog. And if you've been with an animal like that for many years, you know the sound of your dog's bark. And it's very different from other dogs. You can recognize it in the same way that when you live with a person, you recognize the tone of their voice. So it was a ghost dog in her house for many, many days. Always barking in a nice way. But what really convinced her that that was her dog in that antarabhava realm was that one morning she heard her dog barking right outside her front door. Very, very clear. So she opened the door. Of course, there was no dog there. But right on her front mat was her lost ring. The dog had found her finger ring. Isn't that a nice story? A true story. Those are strange stories. You just can't make them up because, they're just, reality is just beyond invention. So there is such a realm even for dogs as well. But the point is that is that a pause between rebirth? Or can we say, and this is what I say, it is a type of rebirth. You get reborn into that antrabhava realm for just for a short while before you go off somewhere else. So it's really not an argument at all. It's really, what you call rebirth, that's all. So you're reborn into that little realm for a short while, making sure everything is sorted out. If you're a dog, to make sure you find your owner's finger ring. If you're a human being, to make sure the funeral's done all well, everyone's happy and well, and then you go off into a next life. So there's no real argument at all. So it is good to still pray for the dead, to make merits for the dead, and you can even make merits for your dead dog or cat or whatever. You do a little ceremony and ask to share the merits, not with all your relations, but even the animals if you shared your life with. Isn't that nice? Next question, Ajahn Brahm. Why, when I do metta meditation, I just feel like crying, and soon I cry? Is it normal to feel sad at first? Many thanks. There are tears of sadness, there are tears of joy. A lot of the times is when we do metta meditation, we're getting our emotional world strong. I mentioned already that the jhanas are emotional states. They're not intellectual states. You can't think your way into jhana. You have to feel your way into jhana. And say with metta, loving kindness, you may say, may all beings be happy and well, may all beings be free from suffering. If it's only words, you don't feel it, it's not real. But when it really becomes a reality, a strong loving kindness, you get so much happiness, so much energy. You get emotionally powerful. And sometimes when you do get emotionally powerful, that's what happens. When strong emotions, we tend to cry. And it's not just girls, it's boys as well, because it comes from the mind. Even animals as well cry. I've seen animals cry. Have you seen animals cry? Even animals, when they get those strong emotions, they too will cry. So, if you have that loving kindness and the tears starts coming down, cry. In the morning when we do this, no one can see your face except me. They can only see your back. And it's dark anyway, so you can cry as much as you like. Only I will see it, but I don't mind. So it's quite normal to cry. And it's not only just when you get into metta meditation. If you get into nimittas sometimes, it's so strong the tears flow down. Or if you do listen to a very good Dhamma discourse, a Dhamma teaching, sometimes it's just so sweet. You get so inspired, just cry. I told this to a few people on the retreat, on the interviews. It has happened a few times when I have been giving a Dhamma discourse, a Dhamma teaching. It's usually only in my monastery when I really get into deep Dhamma. And as I'm talking, I cry. I start listening to some of the words which come out of my mouth, and I think, my goodness, where did that come from? And it's just so profound, and I'm listening to me as I talk. And it's profound, and I start crying at my own Dhamma discourses. I've done that a few times. Can't help it. It's lovely. And other times, if you go like to places like in India, to where the Buddha lived, those are powerful places. There's one place, up in the Vulture's Peak, I always cry up there. Because I don't know why, but just so powerful. The Buddha lived up there. No doubt that you can sit there in the caves where the Buddha sat meditation. If that doesn't sort of get you going, I don't know what will. So that's one of the places where you can get really high. It's one of the expressions of piti, of joy. Joy in the Dhamma, joy in the fact that you're being born in a time when the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha is still so alive. It's joy listening to the Dhamma, the most wonderful thing you can ever hear. It's joy at realizing the Dhamma, like some metta, the joy of getting close to the jhanas. These are incredibly powerful states. Of course you will cry. And it's wonderful. Next question, dear Ajahn. 5 days before I came on this retreat, I had a dream that I passed away. Now I'm very scared of thinking of it. Does its dream actually mean anything? Aha. No, I could finish off. It really scared the daylights out of me. Please share your thoughts on this matter. Thank you. Okay, when you have dreams like that, sometimes the dream is one thing, but your interpretation of it is different. Sometimes we get it wrong. In other words, there's some truth there, but we misinterpret it. So in this particular case, you dreamt that you were passing away. Your ego, yourself, your delusions, those are the ones about to pass away. Not your body, not your life, but your delusions. Isn't that a wonderful dream? The ego, the I, is about to die. Isn't that wonderful? Have any of you been doing that meditation? I will die, that's for sure. I will die, that's for sure. Nah, you're too scared. You try it, give it a try. It's wonderful. Ajahn Chah always used to say, one of his favourite sayings when I was a young monk, have you come here to die? Have you ordained to die? And of course, what do you mean by that? What he meant by your ego, yourself, your self-centeredness. You allow that to die. So that must have been a great prophetic dream. You don't have to be scared. You have to be excited and wondered, oh, what a wonderful thing it is. I'm about to disappear. And all that's left when you're gone is the Dhamma. Ooh, that's nice. Dear Venerable Sir, why are dancing, singing and music in the 8 precepts? Why can't we do these things? I really don't understand. Please tell me why. Okay, if whoever wrote this question, if you heard her singing, you would understand why. Because we don't want to inflict suffering on others. So no, you've probably got a good voice. So dancing, singing and music. The point is that when we're singing, sometimes we sing incredible silly things, like rap music. My baby's left me. I don't know the last time I listened to music, but if you actually listen to what it says, it's absolutely ridiculous and stupid. It's the same. I was on an aircraft some years ago, and the in-flight movie was, I think it was called Armageddon. Now, of course, I didn't have any of the headphones, so I just watched it without headphones. Try that. It's really good fun, because then it looks so stupid. When you haven't got all the music and the dialogue, it's just so predictable. I remember this one scene, I was just watching it up there and laughing my head off. I think one scene, in some sort of spacecraft or other, and it went over the cliffs and it went smash, bang, explosions all over the place. And that would have killed anybody 10 times over. But I knew that they couldn't die because it was a hero, the main film star. And so after the last explosion, like 10 minutes of pyrotechnics, the last explosion, everything went quiet. There's no explosions. And then you just saw a hand come up at the edge of the screen. I thought, oh, come on. And then the hero came up. He didn't even have a sort of a soot mark on his face. All his hair was just perfect, as if he'd just been to the coiffeur. He didn't even have a bead of sweat on him. And I thought, oh, come on, but it's so funny. So actually, when you stand back and look at these things, it's completely ridiculous, these movies. So because of that, and even dancing as well. If you're in the lay world, fine, you can go dancing, especially you're young, you've got to meet your partner in life, that's usually when you do it. And remember, you always dance when it's dark. If it was light, you'd never fall in love. And that's why afterwards you come and complain to me about your husband, about your wife. Look, you got yourself into that. You weren't mindful. So next time, if you really want to sort of choose a partner, just go out in the middle of the day, with all your glasses on, and just really look at them. See them. But as we go dancing in the dark, so we can fall in love, because that's what we love to do. We're all romantic. And the same as singing. If you listen to the words of the song, they're really ridiculous. Write the words down and think what a stupid thing that is, what you say. And like music, even like music, sometimes it can make us sad, it can make us happy, it can play with our emotions. We want to get some mindfulness. Sometimes we listen to music, we get completely absorbed into the music and we forget what we're really doing. Sometimes you be listening to music while you're driving your car, when you're going, bang, bang, bang with the rap music, and then before you know it, it's not bang, bang the rap music, it's bang, bang, bang as you hit another car. You lose your mindfulness. So, just be careful with me. And if we're 8 precepts, we have the most amazing music of all, the music of silence. That's just so nice. We have the most amazing sort of singing of all, the singing of loving kindness. That's nice. And the most amazing movie of all time, the blockbuster nimitta. So we do have singing, dancing music, but Buddhist music. Okay. Can you please tell us something about crystals and aura? Has crystals any effect on meditation? Okay. I don't know. I've never really messed around with crystals and auras and stuff like that. But if it works for you, then do it. I do know, though, that some places are just really easy to meditate. They've got power centers. I don't think maybe a crystal might sort of help that, but you can make your own power center. Because there's places where I've meditated. This place here is getting much stronger now since we began, because we have so many people meditating, so much good energy, so much good vibes going, that the place gets easier to meditate in. And I've known that because when we started our monastery in Australia, it was very, a dead area. But as you meditated more and more, and you get great monks coming to that monastery, and really good meditations happening there, that place is getting really powerful now. My monastery in Serpentine. And I think I mentioned to some people that some years ago an Aboriginal tried to get in there and he couldn't come in. He said, it's too powerful for me. And many people, they go in that gate and they realize they've gone into a different area. Just the opposite side of that gate, it's ordinary. Inside you've got energy. You can feel it. And when you go into my main hall, that's really strong. But one of the strongest places, many of you know that I went on a retreat for 6 months. I never spoke to anybody, I never saw anybody for 6 months, just meditating in one of the huts in my monastery in Australia. Complete seclusion. Really bliss. 6 months of no visual contact with a person, no audio contact with a person. But I found out afterwards that the monks, my disciples, they were just wheeling and dealing, trying to be the next person to sit in that hut. Because I had to move back into my hut, and that was a vacant hut. And they wanted to go in there to get off on the energy. And the monk who actually managed to get chosen to take over that after I left, he said he went there just after I left, he couldn't go in. It was just too strong, too much for him. The energy in that room was really strong. And people could feel that. So you can build up energy in these places, and you can feel it. Ooh, I don't think my mind's up to this. So that's what you can do. You do get sort of meditation energy. And of course the aura, that's how the mind will see sort of the energy around a person. With not seeing it with the eye, but seeing it with the mind. When your mind gets strong, it's amazing the sort of stuff you can see. Any questions on that one? Next question. During the Buddhist period, lay people such as Anathapindika and Householder Chitta have obtained Sotapanna and Anagami. Are there any lay people, Bhante, know that have attained the stage of Sotapanna, and out of compassion for us, please show us how, despite of daily activities? Okay, there probably are some people who are stream winners, but it's hard to do. You need a lot of faith, a lot of wisdom. No messing around. So you can do that, but you have to be really committed to the Dhamma, not messing around. And you have to be a good meditator as well, a deep meditator. So it was possible in the time of the Buddha. Of course it's possible now. And sometimes people think that the people around in the time of the Buddha were somehow different than people today. But they're not exactly the same. And where you can find that out is part of the Tipitaka. It's called the Vinaya Pitaka. It's not just the rules for monks and nuns. There's some Dhamma in there as well. And not only that, they give accounts of life in the time of the Buddha. About what happened. And especially when monks or nuns made mistakes. And because they made a mistake, you had to lay down a rule as a consequence. And so you have all of these little stories, not just of the great monks